Okay, we should have audio and we should be working. Hopefully, we're working. My attempt to talk about something other than the stress of my medical situation right now. Chronically disabled individual with some potentially devastating diagnoses on the table right now. But physical disability as well as being neurodivergent. I think I'm gonna have to try being more clear about the being on the autism spectrum from the start, because that I think is part of the direction I want to take this channel. Um, I got to keep reminding myself that I want to do things with this channel, because the impulse right now is to curl up and stop trying anything, and that's the depressive response to some of the stuff I've been dealing with lately. But what I had started this year with and been working towards was an intent to use this channel to develop an art. I don't know if I want to call it an art business, but it's sort of an art business where I explore starting a small business. The reason I hesitate to do a small business concept is if you define a business the way most people will define a business instead of a hobby, you're looking at a perspective on a minimum amount earned. And that's not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for an opportunity to better my life through doing the things that I most enjoy and I'm skilled at. Now, part of this depressive derailment that I've been going through lately has been because of, is it shaking? No, like that's the thing. Is like it's hit or miss depending on the given day. Shaky limb can kind of derail my ability to do certain things. See, that's stable. If I put my pinky finger on there, does it start to shake? Not visibly. A little bit there. But, you know, that sort of derailment of my hands in my ability to use them for things is disconcerting to a level because I do so much with my hands for arts and crafts stuff that shaking of my fingers on my left hand in particular has really made me feel like I'm getting further and further trapped away from the things that I value most and am best at. But my hope was to do this year um, some work towards starting a creation. I guess we can call it a business, but um, creating something that I could feed my soul in the creation process, share with other people, and earn a little bit of money to alleviate some of the strain of the financials of my circumstances. So, like, the reason I hesitate to call it a business is because what I would need for my success is nowhere near what somebody else would need to qualify for a successful business. Because the way I'm building it around my mindset of as long as it pays for all the things that I'm doing, so like I don't need it to pay for my housing. I don't need it to pay for my food. I don't need it to pay for my utilities. Like, if it pays for the supplies I use, I'm breaking even in that regard. If I do more than that, that's a successful business as far as I'm concerned. So with that in mind, I'm looking at this kind of like what most people would need to define it as a successful business. I don't need that. What I need is the ability to do the things I love, that I'm good at, and benefit from doing those things and sharing them. Now, some of that's going to involve the traditional business setup process, and I kind of wanted to use this channel as a means of saying, like, okay, so if I'm going to start a business, these are the steps I have to go through. Filing for a business name, getting a website, or even just a free Wix website or something like that. Doing some of the doing business as registration stuff, maybe getting a mailbox, getting scales and packaging supplies for selling and shipping stuff, um, doing things like figuring out fonts and color palettes for your business, writing out and working on a basic business plan, applying for and getting a business bank account so that you can keep your billing and other stuff separate, so that when you have costs and you have profits, that you're not mixing that with your private money. Like that whole process of doing that from the perspective of somebody with a disability, so that other people can look at that and go like, okay, maybe I could start a small business for myself and contribute something in some way and earn some money from my contribution. Like that to me seems like a worthwhile thing to do. It sucks right now that my brain is just in depressed mode so that I can't function at a level that lets me do any of it. And I'm stuck waiting for the end of the month to get some confirmation or refutation of the medical stuff that's going on. But I will say, like, it's been the mental and emotional strain has been brutal enough that it's made my physical symptoms worse. Physical symptoms of everything. So, I mean, that's one of the other things I wanted to talk about is on this channel, I've been debating whether or not I wanted to be a autism content creator. Because I'll be clear. There is a tendency within the community of autistic people to glaze over just how much we can tend to feel like we don't have the right to be able to talk about our experiences because we feel like it's not serious. Like, I mean, I don't know how else to phrase that, but there's an aspect of it where, like, the tendency for people to say you're high functioning is in some ways frustrating because it's a dismissal of the things we struggle with. But at the same time, it's also reinforcing our idea that maybe we're not really disabled by it. And so we don't really get to talk about what it's like to be disabled and struggling with certain things because we're not really disabled. And so, and some of that comes down to a problem with, I know, certain family members in particular who are problematic on this vein. Like, that's one of the other things that has been stressful about the last almost month at this point is that this all landed in my lap on the week of my birthday, pretty much. And subsequent to that, I've had some gatherings with family members for other events. And the blatant dismissal of the stress of the circumstances from certain members of the family, it's just kind of like, yeah, no, I don't care for being treated that way. And it sucks to sort of feel like you have to cut certain family members off, but I may have to do that in the near future. Not only do I need to cut family members off, but they've already planted the seeds of that self-doubt and self-sabotage in my head. So it's just like, oh, you don't have real problems. Yes, I do. Like I don't know how else to communicate that. But they've ingrained it in my head that I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, as they say. That I'm not coping with this well because I'm failing at coping with it, not because it's a lot to cope with. And it's rewarding to a certain degree every now and then when I talk to friends and other people who take a look at some of the things I talk about going through as my experiences, and they're going like, good God, what a nightmare. I'm like, yes, exactly. That's the horror show of going through all this stuff. But at the same time, part of the problem with some of that thing is it's not just a matter of that's how life works. The realization of I'm not gonna get a break from this. I don't get a break from my chronic disabilities. I don't get a break from my anxiety and stress. I don't get a break from my autistic brain. I don't get a break from those things. So if I'm waiting for a break from those things before I'm okay to start a business, I'm never going to be able to start a business. So there's an aspect of that where I'm like, I need to start something soon, and I got to figure out the way I'm going to do it here. So I'm going to wait a little bit for this test to come through, and post getting this test done, depending on the outcome, I may need some mental health space. But I can't take. See, it's sort of unfair to myself to even say it this way, but I can't take this mental health space for too long because I'm squandering the time I have. I'm like, no, you need to take the space you need to take. And I'm like, I don't think that I want to stop making content and sharing ideas and exploring opportunities. I feel like this could be beneficial to me as an expressive medium, like journaling or whatever. But it's hard to get in here and be out loud about my thoughts and worries and anxieties, because the impulse is to cultivate a sense of like things are going to work out and it's all going to be okay, when that's maybe not how I feel on any given day, and I should be able to acknowledge and talk about my thoughts and feelings openly. I just I need to work my way through and figuring out what's the right way to do that. So there's some of this that I want to do as a starting a business on this channel. I'll talk a little bit more in the next one about some of the other maybe autism spectrum stuff and coping and mental health stuff that I might do here too. All right, I will see you for that one.